Counting, as we know, is well underway with 32% completed, according to the IEC a little bit earlier. Let's go live now to the National Results Operations Center in Pretoria, Kotswane, and Shahan Ramkissoon is joining me. Shahan, good afternoon. Well, the IEC is seemingly very much optimistic in terms of the vote counting process from what we heard from earlier at about 11 o'clock, between 11 and midday. When you look at that leaderboard where you are at the ROC, are you seeing those numbers beginning to tick away faster than before?
Yeah, definitely. We are seeing more and more of those votes actually being captured. I'll turn around so you can have a look, and that's the big board we're watching. Right now, 37%, Dan, that's the latest update according to the IEC, has been captured countrywide, and that figure changes almost every other minute because it is coming in quite fast. But this, of course, is for the majority of the smaller areas where not so many people have actually voted. But the IEC is saying that this process should 90% be done by tonight, and then over the next 24 hours, we'll see the remainder of the votes being captured in South Africa. And it's very interesting to see the political parties who are here at the National ROC. And this, of course, is where they all come and they watch that board ever so closely, because every percent that's count, and if it is in their favor, it means that they're getting closer and closer to a possible victory. But Slendelo Masikane has been following this one for us at the ROC. She's been here since earlier on this morning, Slee, and you've been, of course, talking to politicians, right?
Yeah.
Are they stressed, happy? What's happening?
You know, I think it's mixed emotions at this stage because we know it's still early days, Shahan. I mean, we're only expecting majority of the results to come out tonight. So I think that's when we're actually going to see the real emotions coming out. But the politicians that I have had an opportunity to speak to, I think because the questions around how these elections have been conducted are what we're really seeing a lot of criticism around, as well as concerns around whether these elections will be declared free, fair, as well as transparent. But that's all something that we expect to hear from the IEC a little later on this week. Right now, we're focusing on counting, ensuring that the ballots are being counted correctly. And we're seeing some of those numbers coming in from the smaller municipalities. But, you know, leaders such as John Steenhuisen, the new kid on the block, Action SA's Herman Mashaba's here, the Good Party leader, Patricia de Lille is here, just to show you the importance, I think, of how these local government elections are to these political parties. Yeah. And we've seen Fikile Mbalula here, of course, the head of the ANC's election campaign.
Yeah, so the IEC was questioned a lot about the voter management devices, right? They've been criticized about using that at a time when they weren't even ready to go ahead with the elections even to begin with.
Yeah.
What are they saying to that?
You know, coming out quite strongly in defense of these voter management devices that have seemingly caused a lot of issues at the polling stations in terms of whether they operate offline or not offline, or whether they need internet connection or not, and not capturing some of the addresses during the voter registration weekend. So we already knew from then that there were some glitches with these devices, and come election day, some of those issues arose once more. But the Electoral Commission saying they were necessary, in fact, for these local government elections to ensure that people are voting where they are registered, and that there were incidents where they actually did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah. All right, let's bring in JJ Tabane, Power to Truth anchor, to the conversation. Slee, we can swing around because he's on the floor. JJ, 12.2 million South Africans voting in this election. Yeah. It's raising questions, of course, and concerns about the electorate. Who's to blame, though? Is it politicians, the IEC, or is it just voter apathy to a point where no one trusts political parties in this country?
Yeah. It's a calamity, Shahan, to have such a terrible voter turnout. And it's a combination of factors. Obviously, there's voter apathy. I think we must not mess around. I know a lot of people are saying maybe it's because of COVID. People are in bars and restaurants and in churches and what cannot be about COVID. It's clearly about political apathy. But it's a message that the electorate is sending out, right, to the politicians to say we are fed up and we don't think that our vote is making the difference it should in terms of changing our lives. In other words, a lot of people feeling that they are not receiving what we call the freedom dividend. We voted in '94. I'm still staying in a shack. What's the point? And I think that's what we have seen through various subject matters. We've seen over the last couple of months, a lot of communities shutting down, rocks being thrown on roads, tires burning, and that had to have an impact somehow, because it's clear that the people have reached a level where they are very angry. I'm standing, Shahan, with a representative of the Freedom Front Plus, who seems to be some of those who are benefiting from some of the results that are trickling in. I'm going to ask him what he thinks of what's going on. Thank you so much for talking to us. But tell me, what do you make of the whole issue of the voter turnout, and how is that affecting your own performance?
Well, I think you absolutely correctly summed it up, that there's voters out there that are completely dissatisfied with the services they are receiving, and they feel that their votes do not make a difference. It is unfortunate that they did not choose an alternative and vote for change, but we do understand that. I think we succeeded to get our voters to the polling stations, and that was the real test and is the real test, and it's still early, but we'll see if we succeeded and who succeeded, and that will be a determining factor in many municipalities.
What accounts for your rapid rise? During the 2019 elections, there was a theory that you are taking away from the DA because the DA is no longer seen as representing particularly white and Afrikaner voters. Is that the narrative or not? You dismissive of that?
I am dismissive of that. If you go and look at our gain in 2019 and the loss of the DA, we gained much more than the DA lost. So somewhere we also got other votes. And then we must also be honest that the DA also had a stay-away vote in 2019 with dissatisfied voters, and also in this election. So it's not that all their dissatisfied or disgruntled voters voted for us. We also got new voters who said they last voted in 1994. They have political apathy, and they want change now. They want to participate in the system. Then we also have youth that have never registered, that now registered for the first time and is saying we want a growing alternative. We are sick and tired of the two biggest parties. We want a party that look after us, and especially in the municipal election, with regards to service delivery and providing real solutions.
What was your key message? I mean, what do you think attracted voters to your particular party?
I think a lot of parties ran with national issues. We ran with municipal issues. Our manifesto had a look at what is the real concerns of citizens out there, what is the lack and the decline, and then look at the causes thereof and the solutions. And we ran the theme of stop the decay and vote for real solutions, not only change but improvement. And I think that articulated with many voters out there, and that's why we are showing growth.
I'm interested to know, in your assessment, and I'm sure you can talk frankly to me about it, do you have a lot of multiracial support, or is your party mostly targeting the Afrikaner vote? Just talk to me frankly about that.
No, I think if you go and read newspaper articles of the last 2 and a couple of months, you'll see a lot of diverse candidates for the Freedom Front Plus in places like in Equatuana, where last night we got the one voting district result where we got more votes than the ANC, with our candidate there, Rantu Musia, who's standing for improvement in that community, and there's many other candidates out there. We are for equal opportunities, not for skin color. We are not for a better past, but a better future, and more South Africans are choosing that as the alternative.
Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you, JJ.
Voter Wessels there, the Member of Parliament for the Freedom Fund, Shahan. As you heard, they're very buoyant, very upbeat about their performance in these elections.
Yeah, it's very interesting, hey, to see that the Freedom Front Plus again actually getting more support this election so far, according to the numbers. Brodan, we're going to leave it right there. JJ Chabane and Stendelo Masikane here at the ROC with me. We'll bring you updates throughout the afternoon and evening.
Brilliant, Shahan. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Shahan. Thanks to JJ and Slindelo Masigane. They're doing wonderful work at the Results Centre in Tshwane in Pretoria.